A single moment can feel like history breaking. A flash in the sky. An alarm that turns the ordinary into urgency. When nations with long memories clash, every action carries weight beyond its immediate impact. Did Israel just ignite a full-blown war with Iran? The question lingers not in headlines, but in the space between actions, the pauses, the escalations, the calculations that follow. This is not about one strike or one barrage. It is about trajectory. For years, Israel and Iran have existed in a state of restrained hostility. Not open war, but something quieter. Intelligence operations. Cyber disruptions. Proxy confrontations across borders. Strategic warnings delivered indirectly. It was a rivalry shaped by shadows. Then the confrontation moved into the open. Large-scale strikes attributed to Israel targeted Iranian military and strategic infrastructure. Iran responded with visible force, missile launches, direct signaling, statements that framed the moment as decisive. The exchange was no longer abstract. It was immediate, audible, broadcast in real time. When missiles cross skies between sovereign states, the symbolism matters as much as the damage. A strike is not only destruction. It is communication. It signals capability. It signals resolve. It signals willingness to escalate. But escalation does not automatically equal war. War implies sustained, declared confrontation, a commitment to prolonged engagement with diminishing restraint. What we are witnessing instead may be something more complex, calibrated intensity. Each side tests limits. Each side observes response. Each side recalculates. Israel's strategic doctrine has long emphasized preemption, neutralizing perceived threats before they mature. From that perspective, large-scale strikes can be framed as defensive positioning. Iran's response, meanwhile, reinforces its own doctrine of deterrence, demonstrating that direct attacks on its territory or infrastructure will not go unanswered. This is not chaos. It is structured signaling. Yet structure can fail. The danger lies not only in firepower, but in interpretation. If one side misreads the other's threshold, if a signal intended as warning is perceived as declaration, the spiral accelerates. And spirals are difficult to control once momentum builds. Consider the broader environment. Regional alliances are fluid. Global powers maintain interests. Energy routes remain strategically vital. Military assets shift quietly in surrounding waters and airspace. Every move carries observers. A direct exchange between Israel and Iran does not exist in isolation. It reverberates outward, into markets, diplomatic corridors, intelligence networks. The world does not wait to see if conflict stabilizes. It reacts instantly. So the real question becomes, what changes after the exchange? If both sides resume indirect engagement, returning to cyber operations and proxy maneuvering, then this moment may be remembered as a dramatic spike within a longer rivalry. But if direct confrontation becomes normalized, if missile exchanges evolve into sustained campaigns, then the threshold has shifted. History often marks the beginning of wars in hindsight. At the time, events feel ambiguous. Leaders describe actions as limited. Analysts call them strategic. Citizens call them frightening. And somewhere between those interpretations, reality takes shape. There is also domestic calculation at play. Governments under pressure sometimes project strength outward to consolidate stability inward. Visible action can serve multiple audiences at once, adversaries abroad and constituencies at home. In that sense, escalation may be both external message and internal reassurance. But reassurance to one side often looks like provocation to the other. The risk is cumulative. Each strike reduces psychological barriers to the next. Each retaliation normalizes a higher level of confrontation. Gradually, what once felt unthinkable becomes routine. full-blown war does not usually begin with a single explosion. It begins when restraint erodes. Are we witnessing erosion, or a contained demonstration? That distinction matters. If diplomatic channels remain active behind closed doors, if intermediaries shuttle between capitals, if military responses remain measured rather than expansive, then the system still contains pressure valves. If those valves close, escalation finds fewer obstacles. The images are dramatic. The rhetoric is forceful. The atmosphere feels unstable. But instability is not inevitability. Strategic rivals often push to the edge without stepping over it. They test boundaries precisely to avoid larger confrontation, proving capability without committing to permanence. So ask yourself, did this moment remove the final barrier to open war? Or did it reinforce a new, harsher equilibrium? The answer will not be found in a single night of strikes. It will be found in what happens next, in whether actions narrow options or reopen them. Look beyond the immediate flashes. Examine the incentives, the deterrence logic, the political pressures shaping decisions on both sides. And consider this, wars are not only ignited by force. They are ignited by the belief that the other side has no room left to retreat. Has that belief taken hold? Or does space for recalculation still exist? Share your perspective, not simply on the strikes themselves, but on whether this represents a breaking point or another chapter in a rivalry that has long balanced on the edge. Because whether this becomes a full-blown war depends less on what just happened, and more on how it is interpreted from here.